you guys, I want to give you some cool update information. See, as a master food preserver, we get this information about, how research is continuing to be done, and there's updates, or there's confirmation that things are still being processed correctly and don't need to change. So we have all that stuff. But we get these little updates every year, and I want to go over a couple of them because they're very, very cool. But first of all, I wanted to show you, there's a big poster that they have, and this is like a little version of it, so I'll tell you. But it's about the Oregon State University Extension Service and their master food preservers. And did you know, it's right here, there were 5,472 incoming phone calls answered to their hotline. So if you have questions and you don't know if your extension service answers hotline questions about canning, call them and ask them if they do. If not, ask them for a phone number for one that's close to you that you can get a hotline question answered when it comes to food preservation. They tested 1,295 pressure gauges. They did 293 Ask an Expert questions, and there's a website. I'll put a link to the bottom for the Ask an Expert. I've put that on there before. There's 2,403 new Facebook followers. There were 240 workshops presented last year, and that reached out to 4,762 people attended, and that's awesome because that's a lot of good information to a lot of good people. There were 495 farmers market and community booths, and of those were 29,859 visitors. That's awesome. There are now 325 master food preservers, and there were 69 new ones in 2017. That's cool. We already have some graduates from the 2018 class this year. Master food preservers contributed 19,183 hours of volunteer time. These are people who put together workshops. They help you learn to can. It's amazing. It's very cool. So there were people that were reached through workshops and Ask an Expert and all those kind of things. Total of 48,872 people were reached by this one program in this one state. So can you multiply that by so much? It's just such a good thing. So that's really cool. That's a lot of people, and it's a lot of good stuff. But anyway, they send us out these information that is great to hand out, but I thought I'd go over them. The new ones on the canning jars, lids, rings, and prep use. Sometimes old-timers say, oh, you have to boil them and stuff. You don't really. You just have to heat your jars before you fill them. There's no need to wipe the jar, the warm lids. You don't even need to do anything. There's no need to warm the lids. You have to wipe the top of the jar. No need to warm the lids anymore. And just put them on there, put the ring on fingertip tight. The thing is, if you're canning raw packed foods, your water temperature needs to be 140 degrees. If it's hot packed foods, your water temperature needs to be 180 degrees. But because of the new type of sealant that they use in those flat lids, you don't even need to warm them. You can just wash them, of course, but you don't need to do the old boiling or letting them sit in hot water. So that's kind of cool. There were some confusing comments on the new ball lids that say SureTight lids, and they help keep canned food sealed up to 18 months. Here's the thing. Used to be they recommended a year. Canned foods can stay properly sealed for a really long time. And people were canning foods, and then in a year they were like, oh my God, I have to throw it out. You don't. It's now giving you an extra 6 months to eat it. But honestly, as long as the lid is on there, it's sealed properly, it's been processed correctly, and it's been stored correctly, it can go longer than 18 months. They're just extending out that 12-month kind of guideline. There are now alternative canning jar sealing systems that can be used. There's the Tadler lids. They're now approved, yay, because they're reusable, and they're those white ones like that. Weck lids, we don't have them here, but you can see them online. They're called Weck lids. I think they're like glass. They're kind of cool looking. And then the one-piece metal lids, which are in the center, and they're basically the ring and the lid in one piece. The only thing that's bad about that is once you've used it, you can't reuse it, so there's part of it that's kind of a waste. But anyway, same kind of thing. You put those on there, and when they process, they dip in kind of the same way as the regular flat lids. Good consumers make contact. Most product manufacturers will have a consumer hotline. When it comes to canning products, you should be able to call the consumer hotline for that product. So that's kind of a good thing. It's better than just going and looking something up and not knowing if you really have quality information. This is the one that bugs me. It bugs me that people put dry beans in a jar, fill it up with hot water, process it for 90 minutes and think it's done. It's not. Rehydrate beans before canning. You absolutely have to. You boil them for 30 minutes. It's 30 minutes of your life that could save someone else's life if they ate the product that you make. Because boiling at 30 minutes starts breaking down the outside so the heat can penetrate properly. The heat processes for 75 or 90 minutes at sea level, depending on the size of jar you have. But that 30 minutes has started to break the bean down so the heat can penetrate. If you just put dry beans in the jar, that 30-minute time is not calculated in there. So by the time 30 minutes has gone in, you basically have 15 or 60 minutes, no, I'm sorry, 45 or 60 minutes to get the heat all the way through, and that's under-processed. Bad idea. Beans in sauce, you heat them to the boiling. You only have to fill the jars 3/4 full, and then cover it with the sauce, and it's a less time, process 65 to 75 minutes at sea level. The reason that's less is because there's not as many beans in there. Dried peas is these methods also. Dried peas, you got to do them. Even though they're little tiny guys, you got to do it. And canning dried bean varieties that are fresh, you can do that. Lima beans, butter beans, pintos, or soy. They're done. Follow your directions. Hot or raw pack, 40 or 50 minutes. So still there's processing. Oh, those electric pressure cookers still are not approved for canning. And the new Instant Pot is coming out in June or July. Probably already see it in your store. It has a canning button, but they cannot get any more information to determine what it has been tested on for safe canning. And the customer service rep thought, it's probably good for just the boil water canning, which would take you back over to the Ball. Had a unit that would look like this. It was for boil water canning only, but it was also only for recipes that were developed for that product to be canned in. So don't do that. Steam canners, high acid products, you know that. There's processing times. You can't use these for extended processing times. You can use them for things that are processed less than 45 minutes, because after 45 minutes the water is boiled away because you only have a little bit, and then you don't have the heat. So you start timing when the internal temperature reaches the same as boiling. So you're going to stick a little thermometer in the hole in the side of those, and when that gets up to the proper temperature, then you start your timing. I'm going to do demos on that when we get back from Connecticut next week, because I think it's cool. Uses less water. Tomatoes, you treat all the varieties like the same, whether they're heirloom or store-bought or whatever. The only thing is, all research has been done on peeled tomatoes, and the reason is because peelings change the heat transfer and pathogen load levels, which I just did a video on called Peel to Peel or Not to Peel. It was focused on potatoes, but it's basically the same thing. The peelings will change the heat transfer and pathogen load levels. So you'll never see me not follow that. Botulism from frozen food, can you get it? Yes, you can. That's why you always want to break the seal before thawing, because when you have the frozen item, if there's some reason, like especially if it's like fresh caught fish or something, if there was botulism somehow on there and that fish or whatever's in it starts to thaw and gets to the right temperature, if it's a vacuum sealed, it's an anaerobic environment, and that's what botulism grows in. So all you have to do is cut the bag open, which I have some meat over there I did today. Cut the bag open, let it thaw with the bag open. And always, manage your freezer stuff first in, first out. Got to clean my freezer out. Freeze dryers are becoming more and more popular. Prices are coming down. It takes 20 to 40 hours per batch, and you get 1 to 2 gallons of food per batch. Ensure that if you're going to get one of these, you need to know that the oils in the system needs to be drained and strained between every use. And you need to get oxygen absorbers and things to store those foods from those things properly if you've done them in a freeze dryer. Anyway, those are just some of the really cool handouts that we get so that we can ensure the information that we're handing out to the people that are asking us questions is good stuff, and it's keeping you safe, and it's making sure that you are becoming an expert canner. And if you have a Master Food Preserver program in your state or your county, go take it, or take the workshops, or find out the phone number to at least call and ask questions. That's what they're there for, and that's what they're there for you for. So check it out. Talk to you soon. I'll be back in a week. because I'm going to Connecticut for a week, and I'm going to Maine, and I'm going to eat big lobster. It's good. But there's another reason we're going, but anyway. Anyway, so I'll be back. Talk to you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.